Welcome back, everyone, to Star Wars Abridged, and today we are going to be jumping into Chapter 3 of Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi, which is the first book in the High Republic series. This book has started off, honestly, pretty depressing. Chapter 1, we met a character named Hedda Cassett. She died at the end of the chapter. Chapter 2, we met a character named Mervyn Getter. He died at the end of the chapter. So we're hoping for a bit of a turnaround here in Chapter 3. It's been just gloom and doom this whole time. But let's go ahead and jump into the chapter where we will obviously be meeting a new character. And before we do, make sure that you are subscribed and leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. And if you're interested in checking out an abridged version of Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire, that will be linked at the top of this video right now. But let's go ahead and get into Chapter 3. So, as I just mentioned, we are meeting a new character, and his name is Minister Eka. Before we get to know him, it's important to note that the chapter subheading for Chapter 3 tells us that we're still on Hetzal Prime, but this time we're actually in Aguirre City, and now there's only 2 hours to impact, it says. So once again, we see that there's a countdown to some sort of impact, but we still don't know what that is. But getting into the chapter, we meet Minister Eka, who is currently in his office listening to the ringing of alarms. He has other people in the room with him, advisors, technicians, military generals, all kinds of people, and everybody there is kind of confused about this system-wide alert that is coming through. We as the readers know that it's the alert Mervyn sent out at the end of Chapter 2 before he met his demise. So Eka's counselor, whose name is Don, says that there was no message attached to the alert, but that they've been trying to reach out to the station that sent it, and they're getting no response. They think the station may be destroyed, and as I mentioned, of course, we the readers know yes, that is the case, unfortunately. Minister Eka then takes a moment to look out of the window at Hetzal Prime's horizon. There are just fields and fields of plants and agriculture as far as the eye can see, and we learn that the whole planet is like that. It's a planet of growth and life, of crops, and which is ironic because it's currently being destroyed. Reports continue to come in of other buildings and mining rigs and stations being destroyed, and Eka is getting upset that no one can identify what is destroying them or why there are no images of this incoming problem. So Eka runs some ideas through his head. Could it be a natural disaster? Maybe attack? Who knows? He has no idea, and nobody else has any idea either. Then one of the tech advisors, whose name is Tar, speaks up and says that he can pull up a live feed of all of Hetzal Prime's important facilities. So he does that on his little data pad, but it also shows little dots representing these unidentified objects coming into Hetzal's atmosphere. It then tells us that the objects are once again moving at near light speed, but they're also moving toward the system's sun. So does it have something to do with gravity? Does it have something to do with some other kind of space anomaly? We don't know yet. So they still can't figure out what these objects are, but Minister Eka understands now just how dire this situation is that they're in, and he suggests that they send an evacuation order to the entire planet. Not just the cities, not just certain places. He says the entire planet needs to be evacuated. Some of the other people in there say there's absolutely no way that we can get everyone off in time. It's just impossible. But Eka says that even if one person is saved, it's worth it, because that's one person that gets to live. After giving the order, the evacuation order, Eka then tells all those people in his office to leave and save themselves. They ask about him. What is he going to do? And he says that he feels the need to stay there in the office. Someone has to look over the harvest. So the next section of the chapter takes place from an omniscient perspective. It's not really from a character's. It's kind of like us just looking down on the entire planet and being able to see everything. It just tells us what is going on right now and what the rest of Hetzal Prime is going through, and then it talks about one of the other planet's moons, and then the other worlds that receive a distress signal from Minister Eka. So this little section starts out by saying that some people on Hetzal Prime completely ignore the evacuation warning and the system-wide alert that's going on that something is going wrong. They just see it, acknowledge it, dismiss it. They don't care. They just go back to doing what they were doing before the alarm came, and some of them even have the thought of, well, this is impossible for the whole planet to be on alert. Like, that just doesn't happen. Then there's some others that just don't care. It then says that there's other people that just freeze up and have no idea what to do. They want to listen to the warning and escape and get off world, but they don't have money to buy a shuttle ticket, and for some people that's their only way to get off world is to buy a shuttle ticket, and they just can't, so they have no idea what they're supposed to do. And then there's the group of people that do own their own starships or do have the money to leave the system and be able to get to safety, but they're just as bad off as everybody else. Ticket prices for shuttles go through the roof, it says. There are lines so long and tensions so high that people begin to fight and disrupt everyone. Security guards stop doing their job because they think, well, what's the point? It's just a total mess and we're all going to be destroyed anyway, according to this alert. So it's a huge mess on Hetzal Prime right now. Then on one of Hetzal's moons, Rooted is what its name is. Rooted. Hetzal has two moons, Rooted and Fruited, and this is on Rooted. It says that there's a trader there who owns a massive starship that is willing to transport as many people as he possibly can for free, which is a very nice gesture. He's able to fit 582 people on board, which is a really good number, and they take off aiming to get away from the moon's gravitational pull so they can be on their way to safety. But you probably guessed it, just like the rest of this book so far, only death occurs. The starship's engines explode and it kills everyone on board. It then jumps back for the last section of this chapter to Minister Eka's point of view, so we know that he's not dead, so that's good. But we also learned that a lot of the people in his office never left, and they actually stayed to help, which is also nice. So it tells us that Eka keeps sending different messages out to the Hetzal system to try and calm things down, to let people know that he's still there, they have his support, and it doesn't really help much, to be honest, but it is a noble gesture from Eka because he tells himself that he could leave at any time he wants to, but he's not going to abandon his people in their greatest time of need. So it shows Eka's character a little bit. It is then shown to us that there are a pretty good number of people that are able to get off world. Hetzal does come up with a decent evacuation system that is going to save a pretty good amount of people. It is then revealed that Tar, the tech advisor that originally pulled up that live feed of Hetzal's facilities, has received an incoming transmission. And for the first time in this entire book, we actually have a little bit of a hopeful moment and a hopeful ending to a chapter. Eka is like, okay, well, who's this transmission from? Patch it through. So it is patched through. Tar patches the transmission through, and apparently the core worlds have received Eka's distress call. And this message comes from Jedi Master Avar Kriss. Help is on the way. So that wraps up Chapter 3 of Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi. As I mentioned a couple seconds ago, we finally have a decently happy end to a chapter. At least nobody is just dying in front of our eyes. A little bit of hope going forward. We see that the Jedi are going to get involved in this. They're going to do anything they can to help. So maybe things will be okay. We won't know until we get farther into the book. But I hope that you are enjoying this so far. In the next video, we will get into chapters 4 and 5 because chapter 4 is so short. It is literally only like 3 pages long, so we'll just combine them. But we'll see where things go from here. But I hope you've been enjoying it. As always, I thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And as always, may the Force be with you.